Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. With graduation season upon us and officially being 1 year since I graduated college, I felt like now would be a good time to share a bit of my post-grad thoughts and reflections and just kind of reflect on the past year. I feel like there's a bunch of different types of people graduating college or graduating in general. I personally was the type of person graduating high school where I was like, don't care, it's done with. But graduating college, I felt very much the opposite. I was really scared of kind of having that like I peaked in college feeling. The best 4 years of my life are over. What am I gonna do with myself now? If I could go back in time and do anything, I would love to share what I'm sharing with you guys today with 1 year ago Simran. So that's kind of the point of this video, and I hope it is helpful to you guys. To give a quick background of my experiences and everything like that, in case this is your first video on my channel, I graduated from UC Santa Cruz with a degree in Cog Sci last June. I graduated in 3 years, and so I feel like that also fed into my anxiousness. I do have a video all about how I graduated college and graduating college early up on my channel already if you want to hear more about that. Post-grad, I did a 6-month UX design internship, and then I took some time off, traveled a bit, got to take a little bit of a break, which wasn't on purpose, but that's a whole different story. And then most recently started as a full-time product designer or UX designer recently. So I do have videos talking about basically everything I just went over. So if you're interested in any details, check them out. Linked in the cards, linked down below. The first thing I just want to get off my chest before we even really get started is college is not the best 4 years of your life. I don't know who decided that we were going to start saying that. I think the reason that people really call it the best 4 years is because it is this structured place where you can grow in kind of like a carefree environment. Kind of feels like it's the last socially acceptable years to be finding yourself and not sure what you're going to do with your life, versus I feel like post-grad there's this pressure of like you have to know exactly what you're doing and be on top of your shit, and you can't fuck around anymore, and you have to be really like structured as a person. But realistically, like 90% of the time people are faking it till they make it, and even when they make it they're still not 100% sure what they're doing. Up until college it kind of feels like everyone around you is doing somewhat of a similar thing, and you know exactly what you're going towards. You know, you're working towards this degree, and then after you get that degree you're on your own. It's up to you to figure out what your life goals are, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. That's what scares people and makes people feel as though post-grad life is this really daunting and scary thing. But in a way it's also really magical. It's like you can do whatever you want with your time. It's kind of nice and liberating to not have to worry about an assignment due tomorrow or will you be able to finish the class in time. Like, all I'm trying to say here is college is not the best 4 years of your life. I feel like it's a really important 4 years of your life, but it's just one chapter, and you can find ways to make every chapter of your life beautiful. It's just about figuring out what you really like and trying to figure out how you can incorporate that into your life. Growing up, I always loved school. I just really enjoyed learning, and I just enjoyed being in a classroom setting. Towards end of high school to college, my relationship with learning kind of was skewed based on just like, I felt like I was taking classes or doing things more because it looked good or because it'd be good for future experiences, and not because I had that genuine passion or genuine interest in things. And so I feel like now, post-grad, my relationship with education and learning has healed so much because I'm no longer taking classes just to get a degree or because, you know, it's the only one available because I need to finish it for a requirement. But if I'm learning, it's out of my own interest. I've really gone back into reading post-grad and like learning cool new design stuff. When I'm learning something, it's because I want to, not because I'm forced to. A huge part of post-grad life is learning to be independent. I was a giant extrovert in college. I think freshman year especially, I literally spent like not a minute alone. Like, I was constantly around people. I don't know why I've recently come to this realization. I feel like it's something we all know, and it might be like a very like no shit Simran thing for me to say. But at the end of the day, like through all the chapters in your life, through all your eras, through everything, the only person who's there with you from day one to day end is yourself. You're the only person who's with you throughout that entire journey. And so it kind of like, you do want to have a good relationship with yourself. You want to be able to enjoy time with yourself and be able to connect within yourself, which is something I just never clicked in my brain. I've learned a lot about enjoying my own company. I would rather spend time alone than I would with bad company, which is something I can't even say was true in college, which is crazy to say. Another big thing that comes with that is going out of your comfort zone. A lot of post-grad life is, you know, doing a lot of new things, and that leads to a lot of growth. I'm the type of person who a lot of times will mourn things before they even happen, and so I'll think of the worst case scenario and start crying about it, thinking it's gonna happen. And then you know what? 50% of the time that situation does happen, and it's not as sad as I made it out to be. Like, it's never as bad as I think it's gonna be. I am am literally not the person I was a year ago, which is insane because a year ago I said that about a year ago before that me. Like, I feel like the past couple years have been so much growing, so much change, and because of that change and being pushed into new situations, I become more confident in my own abilities and what I can and can't do. A part of that is like, you know, you're getting life experiences that you were guarded from in college. Like, you're actually going out into the world, you're interviewing, you're doing jobs, you're doing things of that sort that are forcing you to mature. A big thing that I feel like was a bit of a adjustment for me and something I had to get used to was the lack of structure in my life. So I'm not talking about a day-to-day structure because I feel like when you work a 9 to 5, you do have that structure. But I'm more talking about like a bigger picture structure. I've always been a huge planner. I like knowing what I'm working towards. All throughout college, I had that. I was given tasks and I was working towards this goal of, you know, getting this degree. Once I graduated, which was one big goal that I'd done, and I'd also secured a full-time, another big goal I've been working towards, I was like, okay, now what? Or how do I give myself something to look forward to? Because especially when you're working a 9 to 5, you're kind of like one person in a bigger system. So it's not like you have this like huge goal you're working towards. You have quarterly goals maybe for whatever you're working on, but it's not like these giant goals that I was used to having. I think it was honestly a blessing in disguise because it helped me get out of that racing mentality. For once in my life, I don't feel like I'm racing towards something. I don't have this like huge goal that I'm working towards that's going to change my life and I'm going to be a different person after, which is how I felt about graduation and how I felt about going to college and things of that sort. For once, it's like, oh cool, I'm going on a trip with my friends and it's going to be super awesome in a couple weeks, or oh, me and my family are doing this and it's gonna be great. And it's more these like small little moments that are being added up, versus previously I had the mentality of like, in 3 years I'm gonna be a different person because of this giant life milestone. The next thing I feel like that was a bit of a struggle was the loss of an identity. Being a student had been my identity for such a long part of my life, and I'm sure you guys can relate. So to graduate, I kind of felt like I was stripped of this identity that was such a huge part of me. My first instinct was to take that loss of identity, okay, I'm no longer a student, and put it all in my career and be like, okay, I'm not a student, but I'm a designer. I'm a UX designer and that's my new identity. That is my passion. As much as I wanted to do that, I also knew that that's not a good choice long-term because I didn't want to make my 9 to 5 career my identity. I kind of just learned that, you know, I might have lost my identity as a student, but I have a lot of different identities that make me who I am. And each one of my identities have just kind of closed around the student identity, if that makes sense. Like, you don't need this one big purpose that is your entire life purpose, which is kind of how I felt about being a student. Instead, you can have a bunch of little things that make you who you are and you enjoy those little things every day. And I feel like that's the biggest mindset shift I've had post-grad. Instead of putting everything towards this one goal that I was working towards, of like graduation and being a college student, now I have scattered things. Like 9 to 5, I work as a designer and I enjoy it and it's awesome. But 5 to 9, I do tons of other things. I hang out with my friends, I see my family, I do my little hobbies, I try new things out. And those all together make my identity. And it's not this one thing. It never was this one thing. It was just a horrible mindset that I feel like I wish I'd gone out of even earlier. The biggest one that everyone talks about is the loss of community and friendships. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, that is definitely the hardest part. In both my experiences post-grad, I was living at home with my family, which I feel like I was around my family, but I didn't have any friends in my neighborhood because everyone around me had gone back to college. And then living alone now, I'm not constantly around people the way I was in college. I honestly found it really reassuring to realize that everyone feels that way. Like, if you bring up talking about post-grad life, they will tell you, yeah, friendships, community, it sucks. And I feel like that is, in a way, really reassuring because you're not alone. You didn't mess up for feeling that way. It's a very common experience. Everyone kind of is going through it. That loneliness taught me how to enjoy my own company and make the best of it. And I also learned a lot about new friendships. I feel like I had to learn how to make friendships from scratch versus in college and school, you always had this common thing to bond about. You always had school or college to bring you together, or like living in the dorms, it was really easy to meet people. But post-grad, it's on you. You have to figure out how you can meet people. And once you figure out how to do it, I don't know, I feel a lot more accomplished and I feel like a stronger person because I was able to learn that to an extent. The way I've been able to make friends or meet people post-grad has been, one, social media. I found social media to be really helpful. I've done a lot of kind of like meeting people for the first time and going on dinners and coffee chats where I'm like getting to know a whole new person on like a little bit of a friendship date. And I think a year ago, I would have been like traumatized, scared, like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I just want to talk to my college best friends and no one else. But now I've learned that I have a secure enough relationship with my closest college friends that, you know, we're always gonna be friends, and when we can meet up, we will. But in between times, I can go out, meet some new friends, get to know some new people, and that's also a fun experience. It's not the same, and there's no reason to compare them to because it's like two different fruit altogether. 2 other tips for making friends post-grad that I have not tried yet, but I've heard really good things about. One is through common hobbies. So like if you play a sport, join a local team, get involved in your local community, and then you can meet people through that. Problem with that is I'm not a big sports person, and most of my hobbies are more like creative and individual. So I've not really found a way to get involved in communities there. Maybe I could join like a pottery class class or a book club or something of that sort. That would be like a good in the middle for me. I just haven't gotten around to that yet. And another big one that I've heard a lot of success from and that I actually really want to try is hosting a game night. Recently on TikTok and YouTube, I've heard a lot of people talk about how they've made some of their closest friends through game night. I never considered hosting a game night or going to a game night, but if you think of it, it's actually genius because you can just have a bunch of random people who you barely know over, play a game, and you'll make side comments throughout it. So you'll kind of figure out if you vibe with the person or not. If you don't, once the game is over, that's done. Like, move on to the next one. And you have this common activity, so it's not like you're pressured to talk the entire time, because I feel like a lot of times with like coffee chats or going out to dinner with new friends, I personally get a little anxious of like, what if there's an awkward pause? What if we run out of things to talk about? If you have an activity, you don't have to worry about that. So I feel like that's actually a really, really smart one, and I really want to do that soon. And if I do it, I will let you guys know. That's some of the ways to make friends. Besides that, I know another one of my biggest worries was kind of losing touch with my college friends and worrying that we were gonna grow apart. And then like years from now, we'd be like, wow, remember we were all friends? We aren't anymore. Reality is, are you gonna grow apart from people? Absolutely. Like, everyone's going in different chapters of their lives. And so to an extent, like, you are gonna grow apart from people, but it's for the better. I'm the type of person who likes to hold on to all the relationships in my life and is really scared of losing them, because I'm like, no, we have all these good memories, and why would we let go of this because we were so good together? But what's serving you in life will continue to serve you. I do feel like I've grown apart from some friends to an extent, but I also feel like the friendships that matter are still there. And the biggest thing I really enjoyed about post-grad friendships in particular, and just I call them adult friendships, is that we might not talk every day anymore. I have a couple of friends I talk to every day, but I also have friends who I have not talked to in months. I literally have no idea what's going on in their life. They have no idea what's going on in mine, but every couple months or so, one of us will call the other or text the other, and instantly the conversation we have whenever we meet up or whenever we talk brings us right back to when we were super close and when we did hang out every day. And like, there's this comfort in adult friendships that I feel like people don't talk about a lot that needs to be talked about more, where it's like very relieving to know that you don't have to worry, oh, are we still friends? Is everything okay? Because if I was going through anything or they were going through anything, I would immediately be there for them again. They would immediately be there for me again. You don't have to be constantly around each other. I do have a bit of advice or things I wish I could just go back in time and tell last year me. Number one thing I would recommend is take a break. Give yourself some time to celebrate how hard you worked to get to where you are. I just kind of jumped from school into an internship. I didn't really give myself some time to, you know, take a step back and breathe some fresh air, touch some grass, appreciate life a little before jumping into my next chapter. It led to me kind of feeling burnt out and icky. But once I actually had done that reflecting and taken that step back, I was like, wow, I really needed that. I think the two biggest ways that helped me take that break and take a step back was traveling, getting out of my room, getting out of my house. With the pandemic, we'd been locked at home for 2 years, so going somewhere far away, I honestly felt so healed. And then two, changing up your space. I was living at home post-grad, which is like a pretty common experience. What I did is I ended up changing up my room. So I just like redecorated my room, moved the furniture around. It's a small thing, but it made me feel like, okay, that old room was my college room and this room is my post-grad room. It was the same room, but it was really nice just to like have that intentional change. The next thing that I'd recommend is learning to get comfortable with uncertainty. Being comfortable not knowing what my next step is, not knowing what my next move is. Some people move in silence so you don't know what their next move is. Some people move in such silence that they don't even know what their next move is, which is what I've been doing. Learning to just be comfortable with like, you don't know what's gonna happen next. Focus on what's important to you, and if you have any goals, like for me, one of the big goals was getting a full-time in UX design, and so I worked towards that by working on my portfolio, applying for jobs. But besides that, the rest is not in my control. All I can do is sit back, relax, and know I'm doing what's best for me and make the best of every day. Because at the end of the day, every chapter makes up life. Every chapter of your life has something to enjoy within it. And so even if you're uncertain and you don't know what you're doing next, there's things to enjoy in the moment. And it's about realizing those and taking advantage of your surroundings and what you have around you in that moment. Something I've been working on, I think I've gotten a lot better at it. You know, you're gonna have days where you wake up super anxious and you know what you're doing, but holistically, not being so future oriented and so worried about what I'm doing next, and realizing, you know, I might not know that yet, but I know that when I get there, I'll figure it out, and that's okay. Learning to make the best of my 5 to 9 and working outside hours. It's easy for me to get into hermit mode of especially working from home, just not leaving the house for tons of days at hand and just sitting in front of my laptop doing my little work and then logging out and watching Netflix. And it's nice sometimes, but I also feel like it can lead to just feeling like you're not doing anything and all you do is work in your life. Signing up for something new, maybe it's a workout class or a new hobby or an art class or a CC class where you can try new skills. It just gives you something to do that's outside the norm and kind of exciting. Also, going to new coffee shops. So if you work from home like I do, maybe work from a new coffee shop, see if you like it, try out all the coffee shops in your area if you're a coffee type person and figure out what your opinions are in each one. Make a little like ranking sheet, things of that sort. Just like try to make every day have something exciting and new in it. It can be the smallest thing, having the intention and goal every day to leave the house at least once, whether it's for a walk or to go somewhere. Having that mix of things has just helped me feel like there's more to my life than work, and I think that that's been really important for me. The last part of this video, I want to talk about next steps and figuring out what you want to do next in life. You don't need to set on one career for the rest of your life. Like, I feel like I had a lot of pressure of I have to decide what I'm doing and it's what I'm gonna be doing till I'm 60, versus once I came to terms with the fact that the career I'm doing right now, I plan to do for the next couple of years. Once I'm tired of it, I can go to grad school, I can go into other careers, like I can explore different spaces. That is way more manageable of a goal, working in a career for 10 years versus working in a career for the rest of your life. Second of all, I recommend really just immersing yourself into different spaces and giving it a go. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do post-grad, I took a piece of paper and I made a giant pros and cons list of all the things I liked and all the things I didn't like. Anything I had kind of experienced up until this moment, I made a giant list. And I also kind of kept in mind like what people had told me were my skills previously, like looking at old report cards or remembering comments teachers had made to me or friends had made to me. Okay, what are some things that people say I'm really good at? What are things I really enjoy? And put those all together. And from that, I was able to make a list of some key traits that matter to me in a job. And from there, I realized what really interested me in a career, and I just started exploring careers and figuring out which careers really met that criteria. And then once I did find some careers in that criteria, I tried to reach out to people who were in it, look for opportunities to learn more about it, and really just immerse myself in that space. The great part about YouTube is that there's literally a day in my life for every career, so you could watch a bunch of those too. The biggest thing about it is realizing, one, you're not alone. Like, pretty common to be confused about your career or what you want to do post-grad, and two, your career is not your whole life. It's just what you do from 9 to 5, and realistically, we have tons of passion. We are multifaceted people with tons of abilities and tons of identities, and I think graduating college years was the first time where you really get to feel that and realize that, you know, you are this multifaceted person and you're capable of doing literally anything because nothing is stopping you. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope it wasn't too preachy. I'm not trying to act like I know everything. I've literally only been graduated for a year. Post-grad life can be really awesome and there's so much to learn. It's gonna be great. Also, if you want to see more day-to-day what it's like post-grad, I do have my Letters from My 20s series on this channel where I kind of take you through what my life has been like. Let me know if you want any other videos like this because I have a ton of fun making these videos. So if you have any specific topics you'd like me to get into, leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you very soon. Bye!